Hello everybody, my name is Manan, welcome to my channel. This is a video series about renting an apartment in Estonia. I know that I've talked about it a little bit before in my previous video about cost of living in Estonia, but I wanted to create a very detailed video series about renting an apartment in Estonia, starting from the very beginning of searching for an apartment to the very point where you are actually signing in and moving into your new place. There are a couple of things I would like to mention before. First is, this is all my own experience. Secondly, we will be talking mostly about Tallinn, the biggest city in Estonia, which is also the most populous and probably the most expensive to live in. If you can find a place to live in Tallinn, then definitely the whole of Estonia shouldn't be a problem. Everything that I will tell you, I will put down in the description below, a link which will have all the information on renting in Estonia, all the links, all the companies that I have found. I will also write a short comment on what do I think about them. So if you want more information, all of the related information will be in the link below in the description. The series will be divided into three main parts. The first part will be about searching an apartment. So what are the things that you need to do beforehand? What are the homeworks that you need to do? Where are the places that you need to look for? How to look for? The second would be when you actually find an opportunity to go to visit a place. So what do you need to look for there in this? In that topic, we will also look at what are the different things that you need to look inside a home, windows, heating, and these sort of things. And the third and the final part is that once you are finally approved, you find a place and the landlord or landlady, well, they approve you as well, then signing the contract. And that will be the final part about this series on renting in Estonia. So without much further ado, let's begin and let's roll the intro. Step number one, you have decided to come to Estonia and you're looking for a place. Step number one is doing your homework, and this homework can be divided into four parts. The first part in your homework is about your budget. And in budget, I don't mean exactly just your rent, because your rent will be one part of your housing expense, but I also want you to calculate and determine how much of electricity, how much of utilities, and what is the total amount of money you are willing to spare every month maximum for your housing expense. Now, this amount of money might be different for different kinds of people who are coming to Estonia. Now, there are many different kinds of people who are coming, but they can be roughly divided into two based on their categories. The first one is students, who are usually on a tight budget, who want to get as cheaper residence as possible. And the second group can be people who are professionals, who are usually paid quite well to come and work here. Both of these approaches can be quite different, but the process is the same. So what is your budget? Make a total estimate of how much of your income are you willing to spend. Are you willing to spend 10%, 20%, 30%, 50% of your income on your housing expense? Because this will be a crucial part of your search for the apartment. One thing I would just like to highlight, and this is again my personal opinion, is that renting in Estonia is not always the best way to go, because Estonia is one of the very few countries where renting is actually more expensive than buying an apartment. For example, if you are renting a place for 500 euros, but if you buy that and you do the down payment and everything, then you will probably be paying a lot less every month than 500 euros. And this is why people prefer usually to buy an apartment. Now, this might be quite difficult if you're coming from a developing country, if you're not an Estonian citizen, on how to secure a bank loan and these kind of things, but this is a topic we can cover in some other video. Part one of homework, budget. In order to facilitate you, we can divide the total expense of your housing into three parts. First one is If your housing expense is under 450, then we can say that it comes under the lower budget tier. If it's anywhere between 450 to 850, let's say it's the medium budget tier. And if it's above 850 euros, then let's say it's the higher budget tier. We will be using these terms in future to make a better sense of where you can be. Second part to consider in your homework, that is your requirements. Are you single? Are you with a family? Are you a couple? How many children do you have? These are very important questions that you need to lay down, because these will define your search as well. Now, do you also have any specific requirements? I mean, do you want a yard? Do you want to be in the center of the city? Do you want to be around more people? Do you want access to cafes? Do you want to be more closer to nature? All of these things should be kept in mind before you start searching for an apartment, because all of these will determine the kind of area that you would like to live in. One more important part about requirements is that the place where you work, because you will be traveling back and forth to there quite often. If you are working remotely, then that's another case, but if you are working remotely, then you will probably want a place, an apartment where you have some secluded space where you can work remotely as well. So that's also one consideration. The third part about your homework is references. So what do I mean by references? Who are the people that you know in Estonia right now? So if you are coming as a student, then it will be probably your teachers, your course coordinator. These are the kind of people that you will be most in touch with. So these are your references. If you are coming for a job in one of the big tech companies, then they have a very good network of people who can support you. Keep that in mind. Who exactly are your references? Understand that your budget and your references are very good tools in order to secure your apartment in Tallinn, Estonia. And the fourth and final part is time. So how much time do you have before you actually want to move in someplace? In my experience, it's always good to have at least 3 months of time between you start searching and between you move in. I think in 3 months is a decent amount of time where you can get a good deal for an apartment. So this was the part 1 of your apartment hunting. That was the homework that you need to do before you do anything else in searching for your apartment.